Welcome to this edition of AFMC.
I'll tell you how I got better. I'm
glad to be here.
But a mission to
Delivery of. Well, I think that we're going to talk about everybody's.
Arkansas is the second highest prescriber.
Welcome to AFMCTV. I'm Robin Ledbetter. Thank you for joining us. Today I have with me Brandi Dawson, and she's a health educator with UAMS's brain injury program. Brandi, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, I appreciate you inviting me.
So can you tell us about the brain injury program and what you do as a health educator?
Oh, sure. I would love to tell you about that. So the brain injury program works to really improve the lives of all Arkansans living with a brain injury. We really do this through providing education, connecting people with resources, supporting life after TBI, because it's a new type of life. We develop new initiatives. My role personally as health educator, I primarily focus on creating education and training opportunities, such as developing educational modules. Right now, we're actually finalizing a module focused on TBIs in the criminal justice system, from police officers to courts to even the detention centers. It will help professionals recognize the signs of TBI and use the best practices to interact with survivors in ways that reduce frustration and prevent situations from escalating. I also coordinate educational events, such as our upcoming annual Trauma Rehabilitation Symposium. It's set to take place September 19th at the Benton Event Center. This year, we are offering an impressive lineup of speakers. And what is really exciting to me is this ethics panel we're going to have. This year, they're going to discuss the problem of assessing and determining how long life support should be continued in the hopes for some type of recovery. I think it's going to make for a lively discussion.
And what types of brain injuries does your program most commonly address? Who is most affected?
So the BIP is actually part of a much larger trauma system, but we focus directly on traumatic brain injuries. These would be the types you see: car accident, a fall, sports, really anything that causes a sudden external force to impact the brain. However, if somebody reaches out to our program who has had what's called a non-traumatic brain injury, a stroke, aneurysm, something like that, we're not going to turn them away. We're going to make sure we get them connected to the right people and help them. For example, if somebody did have a stroke, we will just put them in contact with who I call our sister program, which is IDHI Stroke.
Tell us, who is the most affected?
Yeah, so when you actually look at who is most commonly affected by traumatic brain injuries, it helps to really start with the TBI registry that was set up in 2013. The Arkansas Brain Injury Program oversees this registry, which collects records of TBIs that occur across the state. Hospitals in Arkansas that are part of the trauma system are required to report moderate to severe brain injuries within 5 days of diagnosis. So I looked at the data in preparation for this, and according to the TBI registry data, which dates from inception, that 2013 through August 31st, men far exceed women in traumatic brain injuries. 67.71% of TBIs in Arkansas are actually males, and of this, 67.71%, 74% are white males, 51% between the ages of 25 and 64. However, white males in the ages of 65 and over account for 31% of TBIs.
It's so interesting, the statistics that show that. What are some common misconceptions about brain injuries that you'd like to clear up?
Sure. So for me personally, I think one of the top misconceptions is the idea, especially when it comes to concussion, it's just a bump. A concussion might not seem serious at first, but if medical guidance isn't followed for actual recovery, it can lead to long-term challenges. It's extremely important for people to understand that a mild brain injury deserves attention, care, and support. Take, for example, football in Arkansas. It's a big deal, both college and high school. If an athlete does hit their head, they do need to get checked out. They do need to follow the recommendations given by the provider carefully so symptoms don't get worse. And another common misconception is that brain injuries are always visible. That is not true at all. Many brain injuries are not obvious to the general public. Actually thinking of every survivor I've ever met, I cannot think of one that I would be able to look at and say they have a brain injury.
And what are the leading causes of brain injuries in Arkansas? Are they all common and that it's all the same thing? What are you seeing?
So this is actually a tricky question. When you say common, yes, we are the same nationally as well that you see in Arkansas. So falls, car accidents, and assault are the leading causes, both Arkansas and nationally. However, you have to break it down even further, really. These are often age-related. Falls, for example, those are the leading cause of TBI in older adults. So the best way to prevent a TBI for that age at the tail end of the age spectrum, is to use fall prevention strategies, walkers, talking to doctors about balance issues, making sure they get set up with PT if they need it, limiting things around the house they can fall on. However, teens and young adults who are just often learning to drive, they experience TBIs from motor vehicle accidents. So preventative measures for this group is defensive driving courses, make sure they're well prepared, stressing the importance that they be sure to never drive under the influence of drugs or alcohol, wear your seatbelt. And one of the most common things we see in this age group too, and the middle age group, is ATV accidents. You should always wear a helmet. And unfortunately, we also see a lot of pedestrians here often hit by cars. So, when it comes to prevention in that, cross where the crosswalk is, cross on the green light, make sure you take the safety precautions. So again, it's one of those that just really depends what the age group is.
And how can healthcare professionals and community organizations partner to raise awareness and reduce risk?
Yeah, so I'm actually excited you asked me this question, because so often I hear from survivors that they just wish they had known we existed much sooner. One way healthcare professionals and community partners can really raise awareness is simply by learning about TBIs themselves and then educating others, spreading the words, send TBI people our way, because we are the authority in the state of Arkansas. Education and training really are the strongest tools we have. And right now we're in the process of preparing to launch a new educational opportunity that focuses on brain injury informed care. So much like trauma informed care, but this will center around actually brain injury informed care. And I'm a little excited, in case you can't tell. We provide training for providers, schools, community groups. We're currently working closely with law enforcement. We work with cadets to police officers in the field. We work with courts, the detention centers, that's juveniles and adults. With there being over 2 million people currently in jail and up to 87% living with a TBI, many of those undiagnosed, this kind of education is vital. And just to compare that to our regular population, 8.5% is the average for the regular population to have a TBI, up to 87% in jail. So by spreading this awareness and sharing this knowledge, we can make a great impact. Something as simple as following us on social media, sharing the information we post, and spread awareness about traumatic brain injuries. It's just like being here today. This is the way you reach people, technology.
And what resources are available in Arkansas for individuals and families living with brain injury?
Yeah, so there are actually quite a few resources available in Arkansas for individuals and their families. For example, we have Disability Rights Arkansas. They do advocacy, they have legal support. We have Arkansas Rehabilitation Services, which helps vocational rehab, gets them returning to work. Arkansas Connect now offers mental health services. Miracles for Mary, who we absolutely love, supports families navigating the challenges of TBI. They help them find emotional, spiritual, and financial resources. They actually started this based on their daughter, Mary Drake, who had a TBI. The brain injury program survivors and their families can actually access free therapy through our program. We have a grant that allows them to speak with the Arkansas Relationship Counseling Center. The director, Charlie Simpson, and his team of therapists have extensive experience working with individuals who have sustained a TBI and their loved ones, providing support and guidance tailored to their unique needs. We also work really closely with the Brain Injury Association of Arkansas and Sources Community Independent Living Services to ensure all TBI survivors and their caregivers have support groups, virtually, in person, across the state. It needs to be available to them. What we have found is that support is the biggest thing to help with TBI recovery. And so honestly, there are so many resources that I could sit here and name that we couldn't make it through this interview. So what I would suggest is anybody who needs a resource, anybody who needs somebody to have a resource, just send them to our program, and we are happy to fit their individualized needs.
So let's talk about caregivers. What advice would you give to caregivers of people with brain injuries?
Yeah, so this happens to be one of those topics that is close to my heart. And so I help oversee, kind of drive the caregivers stuff on our team. And I know it sounds cliche, but caregivers really do have to take care of themselves, allowing time for breaks. They cannot burn out, connecting with other caregivers who truly understand this unique journey. TBI caregiving is not like any other, and you cannot fully understand it until you've lived it. And it's important to give yourself permission to grieve, in my opinion. Survivors have to adjust to a new normal, but so do their loved ones. Sometimes survivors change in big ways, their personalities, the way they speak to you. And caregivers are left learning how to care and love for a new person while missing the one they knew. So I just think it's okay to grieve the life you thought you would have.
And how do you collaborate with community stakeholders to expand access to brain injury education and services?
Sure. So we actually work really closely with our community partners. We reach out, we offer education whenever it's needed. Our goal is to connect with individuals in every setting: schools, hospitals, community groups, even prisons, like I mentioned earlier, so people understand brain injury and how to support survivors. By building these connections, we're able to expand access to resources, make sure no community feels left out. If there is anyone who is interested in brain injury education, prevention, recovery, support, you want to learn the basics about TBI, you want to hear what this Ovis thing going around is, reach out. Like, we're always happy to set up a training and share resources.
And have there been any recent advances or innovations in brain injury care and education that you are excited about?
Actually, there are. So one of the most exciting advances in brain injury science right now is the process being made in how to classify TBIs. So for years, we've used terms like mild, especially in relation to concussion. But we know now that so-called mild brain injuries, concussions, aren't always mild. Some people actually end up experiencing long-term challenges, memory problems, headaches, sleep issues. So new research into biomarkers is helping us identify and better understand these injuries with much more accuracy. We've also seen remarkable recoveries in some patients who were on support for weeks after a severe brain injury, and that gives us some hope. In fact, that is going to be the focus of our upcoming symposium panel discussion I mentioned earlier. So again, it should be very lively.
And tell us about the Arkansas Trauma System. Is that affiliated with your organization?
Yeah, so the brain injury program is actually part of the much larger Arkansas Trauma System, but we do live under what I call the umbrella of the UAMS Institute for Digital Health and Innovation. The Arkansas Trauma System, for those who may not be familiar with it, is a statewide program. It was established in 2009 after Arkansas consistently ranked among the worst states in trauma-related mortality. So it was actually designed to improve outcomes for patients with traumatic injuries, creating coordinated and efficient, standardized approach to trauma care, with the goal in mind to ensure patients receive the right care at the right place at the right time. And the system includes trauma centers, EMS agencies, rehabilitation facilities, and specialty providers all working together. So it is managed by the Arkansas Department of Health. But as I said earlier, we're the brain injury program are housed in the UAMS IDHI department, along with our sister program, Stroke. And just this is probably like a good time to go ahead and mention a lot of times when people are entering into the trauma registry, if it's a brain injury, they don't realize it has to go in both. And so that's one thing we would love to do some training on, just to make sure that, you know, if it is a brain injury, it must go in the TBI registry and the trauma registry.
So in close, it leads us to my last question. How can healthcare providers and community members get more involved in your work? What do you want them to know?
Sure. So the easiest way for healthcare providers and community workers to get involved is to contact our program. We have a pretty good network of stakeholders across the brain injury community. So whether your interest is education, prevention, supporting survivors, caregiving, advocacy, we can always help connect meaningful opportunities. We're always looking for new partners to join us. The more people who understand brain injury and get involved, the greater impact we can actually make together. So reach out on social media, reach out on email, call us, however you want to get a hold of us. We are happy to partner with you.
Well, Brandi, thank you so much for sharing this important information in your work. I appreciate you being here today.
Great. Thanks, Robin. I appreciate you having me.
And that's it for this episode of AFMC TV. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.